Welcome to rSlash, Am I the Bad Guy?, where a couple of dumb kids flush a $30,000 engagement ring down the toilet. Am I the bad guy for asking my brother to pay $30,000 for my engagement ring? I hosted a family dinner over the weekend. My brother brought over my nephews, ages 4 and 8, as well. I used to wear my engagement ring all the time, but lately I've kept it in my walk-in closet and mainly wear it for special occasions. While I was cleaning up the dinner table, my nephews went to go play while the adults were still in the outdoor patio/outdoor kitchen area. My brother was not supervising his kids. During this time, my nephews went into the master bedroom without anyone knowing and started playing with everything, including my engagement ring. When we came to look for them, they panicked because they know they aren't supposed to be upstairs, ran into the master bathroom, and flushed my ring. We called a plumber in case it was somehow in the U-trap of the toilet and not actually gone. But nope, unfortunately, it's gone for good. We still had the original receipt, so I called my brother. I emailed him a scanned copy as proof of the cost, and I asked him to reimburse me for the ring my nephew flushed. Immediately, he started calling me a butthole because we're family and he's just a child. He's refused to repay the cost of my ring. I told him I'll be taking him to court for this, and now my entire family is blowing up my phone saying families shouldn't sue each other and I should just let it go. And then OP adds some context. No, the ring wasn't insured. My brother says that he doesn't have the money to repay, even $100 per month. He's also refused any kind of repayment plan. He said that I live in a nice enough house, and if I want a replacement, I should just sell my car. My brother, to this day, has not truly apologized. It was a Canadian sorry. Sorry, not sorry. He said that kids will do what's normal for kids, and they shouldn't be held responsible for a ring. My brother was supposed to supervise his kids outdoors with the rest of the family while I was busy cleaning up. And to be clear, I don't believe for a second that my brother and his wife can't pay for the cost of my engagement ring. They don't make anything near my husband, but they have a combined income of around $250,000. They don't pay rent or anything because my parents gifted them their old house valued at $3.5 million in Toronto, Ontario. There's no mortgage on the home my brother lives in. People are saying that OP is a butthole because OP doesn't have insurance on a $30K ring. So? What? That's stupid. You're not obligated to get insurance on a ring. So we're victim blaming? We're saying that because OP didn't go above and beyond to protect her assets, that it's her fault that her assets get destroyed? Huh? This is literally the exact same thing as not locking your doors, and then some guy comes in and steals your TV, and then the cops catch the guy who steals your TV, and the cops are like, well, yeah, but since you didn't lock the doors, we're not going to give you the TV back. Like, yeah, you should have locked the door, but just because you didn't lock the door, that doesn't mean that it's your fault that you got robbed. It's the robber's fault for stealing your stuff, and they're responsible for repaying you. Am I out of touch here? I'm seeing a lot of everyone sucks here. What? This doesn't make sense to me. If you buy a car and you get car insurance on that car and you get into a wreck, then the car insurance pays for the car. But then if you have a car and your neighbor takes a hammer to the car and beats the bejesus out of it, and the insurance is like, yeah, well, we're not going to pay for that car because it wasn't in a wreck, so you're on your own. And you're like, okay, well, I'll just sue the neighbor for damages. That's still logical. This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't make any sense to me. All right, I'm giving OP 0 out of 5 bad guys. I'm giving the brother 3 out of 5 bad guys. Clearly he can pay, he just doesn't want to. Am I the bad guy for ruining a proposal at a wedding? So I'm a 29-year-old guy and I'm a part-time DJ. I mostly DJ for just family and friends. I'm not really a professional. I just do it for a little side cash from time to time. Last weekend, I got invited to DJ on the cheap at a wedding for a friend of a friend. At the wedding, while everyone was on the dance floor, one of the guests, Kevin, approached me and asked me if I could play the song Golden Hour. It was an odd request because at this time, all the guests were literally hopping around and dancing, but I was told to take all requests, so I did it anyways. When I started playing it, the dance floor started to clear up, and then Kevin invited a woman onto the dance floor and they started slow dancing for a bit. A few people joined them, including the bride and groom. Then, at that one part of the song, Kevin got down on one knee, and I knew right away that he was going to propose. I didn't think that was right, especially because they were in the middle of the dance floor with all eyes on them, and I kind of felt like if this happened, I would take the fault, because I was the one to put on a romantic song out of nowhere. So instead of letting that happen, as soon as he pulled out the ring box, I started to play Boogie and turned up the volume instead. After that, Kevin gave me the side eye and just got up and everyone else sat down. After that, nothing else really happened, and the tension was very thick. After the wedding, no one really brought it up, and I obviously thought that I wasn't the butthole, and the friend who was friends with the bride said that I wasn't the butthole either. But then a bunch of the family started to message me. It turns out that Kevin was the bride's brother, and the family kept asking why I did that. I told them that proposing at someone else's wedding was not appropriate. They told me that I shouldn't have an opinion because I was just the DJ, and now Kevin got publicly humiliated because some people knew this was going to happen, so they were taking video and live on Instagram so all their friends could see. I responded with, that would have hurt the newlyweds, but then they responded with, you shouldn't have assumed the bride didn't want that. That part got me thinking because I was mostly communicating with the bride about the arrangements. And she was very chatty before the wedding, but after, she's only given me one-word answers. So I assume that she's mad at me, but then again, when she paid me, she almost paid double the amount that I was asking for, plus a generous tip. So I'm not sure if the bride actually knew. I think she would have told me. Okay, in the comments, people are kind of mostly on OP's side, kind of like in a wishy-washy way of like, I think you're not the bad guy because your heart's in the right place, so I'm mostly on your side. And I think those positions don't go far enough. I am solidly on your side, OP. First off, let's make one thing super clear. You don't work for them. You don't work for the people who texted you. You don't work for Kevin. You don't work for anyone else at that venue except the bride, because the bride's the one who paid you. So all their opinions about whether or not you're the bad guy are completely irrelevant. As long as the bride thinks that you did a good job, then in my opinion, that's the only opinion that matters. Well, the groom's opinion too, I guess, but since the groom's not mentioned in the story at all, I'm just gonna skip over him. Secondly, I think that they're thinking that it's the DJ's job to just play songs and next song. But, I'm not a DJ, but my sense is that the DJ's job is more than that. It's about, protecting the vibe, keeping everyone happy, and controlling the dance floor, making the wedding flow the way it's supposed to flow. You know what I mean? For example, if something dramatic happens, like there's a fight and a couple storms out, then I think it'd be the DJ's job to lift the mood and play something upbeat and happy to get the wedding back on the right track. You don't go from a fight to a sad, slow, romantic song. It kind of kills the vibe. So I think that OP is perfectly within his realm of responsibility to protect the vibe of the wedding by shutting down what, in most people's opinion, would be a faux pas. And even if the bride did approve of Kevin getting down on one knee and proposing, then she should have told you that. This is like the same vibe of the bride ordering catering and then one of the guests getting upset at you because there's nuts in one of the dishes. And it's like, how dare you get a dish with nuts because I'm allergic to nuts? Okay, well, the bride didn't tell me that, so that's not my fault, right? So no matter how you slice this, OP, I am solidly on your side. I think you get 0 out of 5 bad guys. I don't know if I can give Kevin or the bride a bad guy score because I don't know if Kevin had permission from the bride, then he did nothing wrong. If the bride gave permission to Kevin, then she should have told you, in which case, I don't know if I give her a bad guy score. I just give her a 1 out of 5 stupid score because you forgot something kind of important. But I think you're in the clear, OP. My guess is that the reason why she paid you so much money is that she's secretly happy that you ruined the proposal. But she doesn't want to tell everyone else that she's happy with that, so she's letting you take the fall because she doesn't want to ruin her relationship with her brother. So I think you've become the scapegoat, OP, for the bride, and she's paying you as sort of like a secret apology. That's what I think is going on. I'm pretty sure. That's what my gut's telling me. Because otherwise, if you're pissed off at someone, why double pay them and give them a huge tip? It just doesn't make sense. So I think she's happy with you, OP. I think you're in the clear. 0 out of 5 bad guys, my friend. Am I the bad guy for yelling at my ex and telling her to stop trying to make our kids perform for her after the death of her husband? My ex-wife and I share 2 kids. Our daughter is 13 and our son is 11. She was remarried for 7 years and had 2 kids with her late husband. He died a week ago. My kids were not close to this man. He was a hard ass, and the kids found him overly strict, and I agree, and they didn't like being around him. Their relationship was, at best, strained with him, but they confided in me over the years that they hoped their mom would leave that guy. My ex-wife loved him though, and when he died last week, she was a mess. Our kids were with me when it happened, and she wanted to see them, so I brought them over. They comforted their mom, and she told them repeatedly that it was okay to cry, that it was okay to miss them, that they were all going to miss him. The kids said nothing, and she kept repeating it. I told her that I thought the kids got it. The funeral day came, and I showed up for my kids. They were hanging back with me a lot, and they told me their mom kept watching them, which I witnessed myself. For the funeral, I sat behind them since she wouldn't let them sit with me. She told us that all of her husband's kids should be seated up front, and I didn't have the heart to tell her that they weren't his kids on the day of her husband's funeral when she was such a mess. So I bit my tongue and supported my kids. It was after the service when everything went down. The kids came to sit in my car for a while and we were laughing about something. My ex came over and asked how could they be laughing when they had just buried their stepdad, and why did they show no grief at all over the loss of a man who was part of their lives for 7 years. She said that it was almost like they were glad he was gone. She told them that they should have been looking way more somber after he passed. She told them that if they really didn't care, they clearly needed help because her husband loved them. I stepped in and told her to lay off the kids because they're kids. She told me to stop interfering in how she parents our kids. My daughter ended up getting mad at her mom and told her that she wasn't sad that he was gone, that he was a butthole and she had always hoped that she would leave him. She stormed off and my son followed. My ex was going crazy, and I yelled and told her to cut it out and to stop trying to make our kids perform a grieving routine over her husband. I told her that they were trying to support her, and she should be proud of them for that. She started yelling back at me about what a butthole I am, so I walked away. Am I the bad guy? And OP adds some clarifying details. My ex-wife's husband spoke to the kids like they were soldiers and he was their commanding officer. That was how he spoke to his own kids too, just barking orders at them. He was also very strict on how they sat and stood. He was very tough on them regarding what extracurricular activities they wanted to do. He had his own idea of what kids should do, but my son especially wasn't interested in sports, and that was not what my ex's late husband liked to hear. He also didn't believe that kids should be helped with homework beyond kindergarten, and he didn't like how the kids would react to seeing me during exchanges. He believed that kids should act civilized at all times, and them taking off running and jumping into my arms was something that he didn't approve of and said that to them. Okay, OP, I'm on the kid's side. This guy sounds like a complete monster to live with. He thinks that kids need to remain civilized at all times? Kids? Civilized kids? What? Does he not know how kids work? Does he think 10-year-olds like to just do taxes and worship football? OP, I think you did the right thing here. That guy was clearly a toxic force in your kid's life, and by the sound of it, your ex-wife is too. If anything, I'm proud of you for sticking up for your kids. You get 0 out of 5 bad guys for having your kids back. I'm also giving the kids 0 out of 5 bad guys because, honestly, I think they did the best they could. They weren't sad, but they also weren't like rubbing it in their mom's face. They were trying to be there for her. I'm giving your ex-wife 2 out of 5 bad guys because even though, yeah, she's allowed to mourn however she wants, the same thing applies to the kids. The kids get to mourn however they want too, so she can't enforce her mourning onto them any more than the kids can enforce their relief onto the mom. So she's being a selfish, entitled hypocrite, in my opinion. Am I the bad guy for leaving my fiance's birthday after my stepdaughter's prank? So I recently got engaged to my fiance, Michael. We don't live together, but we agreed to move in together soon. Michael has a 16-year-old daughter, and I gotta be honest, she seems quite stubborn, and her own dad struggles to get her to listen. I'm not close with her, which is something I know I need to work on, and I do my best. However, her pranks make it difficult for me to maintain a good relationship with her. She loves to prank people, and her pranks can be a lot sometimes, though sometimes there's good humor there. I try to laugh it off every time she pranks me, but it's gotten too much lately. My final straw was on her dad's birthday. My future in-laws and relatives came as well. We all went out to dinner. All went well until dinner. We were about to have dinner, and once we walked into the dining table, I was stunned to see my underwear hanging on a hanger in the corner. My stepdaughter looked at me, smiled, and said, "Oh, you forgot these last time you visited, and I didn't want you to forget them again, so I hung them here." I was absolutely astonished, speechless even. Michael was shocked, and my in-laws and other guests, including Michael's friends, were staring at me in awkward silence. I felt so humiliated, especially when some of the men laughed. Next thing I know, I yelled at her and was grabbing my stuff about to leave when Michael and his daughter told me to calm down and that it was just a prank. I left immediately and turned my phone off. Michael left me a lot of texts and voice messages calling me hypersensitive and claimed that I ruined his birthday by walking out over a prank. We later argued, and he said that his daughter is a teenager and that's what they do, so my reaction was over the top and I ruined the birthday for him and his family. I haven't spoken to him in days, and he's expecting that I visit to apologize for walking out and also yelling at his daughter. Am I the bad guy? Did I overreact? Alright, OP, let's be super clear about this. Your boyfriend's daughter isn't being a prankster, she's being a bully. And your boyfriend isn't being a good parent, he's being an enabler. So not only are you not the bad guy here, I gotta ask, are you sure that you want to marry into this family? Because it's pretty obvious that this treatment isn't going to stop for at least the next 2 years. Maybe you could tough it out until she turns 18 and hopefully goes off to college. But really, I wouldn't count on it. Even then, is it worth it? Michael and his daughter sound awful. OP, you get 0 out of 5 bad guys. Michael and his daughter both get 2 out of 5 bad guys. That was rSlash Am I the A, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.